Welcome, everybody. I was just saying before you joined, Sami, that this is by far the highest number of participants that we've had in our Hangout so far. So you seem to be very popular, but that's no surprise. I just wanted to do a very brief introduction for those who don't know us. My name is Amani Hassan. I'm the program director at the Arab British Center. I'm joined today by my colleagues Nadia El-Sebai.
Hello.
And Becky Harrison.
Hi.
So sorry, Nadia is the executive director. Becky Harrison is the events and communications officer. And we also have Barty Boudia, who's here.
Hello.
Barty is our office manager. So the whole team is here today. I believe I saw also Derek Plumley, who is our chairman. Yeah, there he's waving. Derek is also a fan of the Hangout. So we're delighted to have you all here today. The Arab British Center, very briefly, for those that don't know, is a cultural organization. We're based in the city of London. Our mission is to further understanding of the Arab world in the UK. And when we closed our doors a couple of weeks ago now, maybe longer, we said that one of the things that we were going to miss the most about being in the center physically is our lunch breaks, because you have to know that we take our lunch breaks very seriously. We don't have a kitchen like cooking facility in our basement, but we do make a point to, you know, gather around the table and have our lunches together almost daily or as often as we can. And so we wanted to recreate this sort of atmosphere with everybody. And we thought, well, it's a great opportunity to continue the tradition and invite people to join the conversation. So this week for our third Hangout, we are super, super excited. I'm not gonna hide the fact that I'm a huge fan, like literally almost borderline groupie, Sami. I'm not Sami Tamimi, who is a chef, and I'm sure he doesn't need an introduction, but I will just briefly say a few words. Sami is the co-founder of the Ottolenghi restaurants that he founded with Yotam Ottolenghi and Noman bar in 2002. He is also the co-author of two very successful cookbooks, Ottolenghi, the Cookbook, and Jerusalem, which I have on my shelf as well. And he just published a new book called Falastin, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But for now, I just wanted to start perhaps with a very basic question, Sami, just to find out sort of, did you ever think when you started working in the restaurant industry, did you ever think that you would end up in London?
No, in London, it started mid 90s because I was kind of stuck at back. I used to work in Tel Aviv, and back then there were not a lot of really kind of high-end restaurants. So I was quite stuck, and I didn't know how to move my career. And the opportunity came to move to London, and it was a kind of a very exciting thing to do. Obviously, with all the difficulties of moving a country and different language and learning, you know, the names of each ingredient. And but you know, I kind of I'm a positive person, and I just took things by every day and worked really hard. And I didn't speak the language, so I kind of self-taught English and different kind of techniques.
Okay, amazing. So you actually learned English on the job, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, for a few weeks, I didn't say a word because I was kind of not sure if I'm going to say the right thing or not. But then I was the head chef, and I had to say something, and it's kind of, you know, I just figure out that I'm just going to say it. It doesn't matter if it's going to be wrong or right, and hope for the best. And this is how I kind of started speaking English.
Yeah, well, and little did you know back then that you would end up creating a food empire in the United Kingdom. I mean, did you ever think that,
No, no. I mean, this is all kind of happens. I mean, we've been doing it for the last 18 years now, almost 18 years, and everything happens so quickly. I mean, you don't really kind of think, okay, I'm going to build an empire. It just happens. I mean, you're all from one project to another, and I mean, I remember when we opened the Islington branch, it was a catastrophe. When we opened the beginning, it didn't work because of the area, and people really kind of thought, this is a very kind of fancy place, and didn't go in. And for 2 years we struggled, but now it's working. And so, you know, we kind of learned some of the application on like the hard way of things. But yeah, thankfully, I mean, we are kind of really doing well, and so many cookbooks now, which helps the business.
yeah, I'm sure.
And yeah, we do have a mini empire, but you know, you don't think, okay, I'm planning now to do that. So
Yeah, no, definitely. I guess the stars were aligned for you. I guess since we're talking about the restaurants a little bit, it's inevitable to ask the question. Obviously, your restaurants are now temporarily closed, um, which I'm sure is devastating. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I mean, I mean, obviously nobody really knows what tomorrow is made of at this point, but how much has that affected the business at this point?
it affected it quite a bit. I mean, I remember we had a board meeting just before this whole kind of thing just took off so quickly. And it was 3 weeks ago. And we kind of preparing what to do and how to do it. And, you know, the most important thing about it, it basically keeping our staff and how we're going to protect them. But then you get to a point where you realize that we are also in the same kind of boat, and we have to basically do our best to protect ourselves and our staff without them feeling that we are kind of letting them go or letting them down.
Yeah.
So we basically talked about it openly, and just, guys, we are in it all together, and whatever happens, we just have to go day by day. We didn't plan to close I mean, we plan to do takeaway, but London is so difficult because, you know, you're paying staff and rent and everything. So we just it wasn't worth it for us to keep it open. So we decided to close.
Yeah.
Luckily, the government gave now the possibilities of paying people, which is really good. And they are still hanging around and waiting for us to reopen and come back to work.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure your staff is probably like a little family, and everyone must be really
They are. And, you know, if we kind of kept it open, we'll be basically bankrupt, because every day that you keep it open, it costs you a lot of money.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, well, hopefully this will, you know, end soon, and every life will be going back to normal, whatever normal will look like in the future. But so I guess I wanted to ask you then, your typical day went from waking up at the crack of dawn, I'm sure, and jumping around from one kitchen to another. What's your day like now? What do you do to keep
I still wake up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't have even an alarm. I just wake up and get up and have a coffee, and then you have to feed my little dogs, and I go for a little walk quickly just next to the house, and then breakfast, and then I plan my day. I don't leave the house so much, but I cook quite a lot, and I give some of the food to the neighbors. We keep some of it. It's good to freeze stuff as well. And I started doing these kind of homemade videos to put on social media, which proved to be very, very kind of popular with people, because they want to see their kind of idol cooking
Yeah.
things in the kitchen and how they do it, and they like all the little tips that I give.
Yeah.
And
Cooking behind the scenes with the
yeah,
chef.
I do it also in a kind of very gentle and relaxed way. There's no kind of chefy, yes chef, no chef. It's kind of, I'm just cooking things in my kitchen.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I follow you, of course, being the fan that I am. I follow you. I'm sure a lot of people that joined us today follow you as well. But for those that don't, Sami is on Instagram. I believe it's at Sami Tamimi, your
Yeah,
handle. Yeah.
yeah.
So make sure you follow him. He's been posting amazing recipes. The latest one, I believe, was your mjaddara that you cooked yesterday.
Yeah, I did it with frike.
Yes.
We did in Jerusalem. We did the kind of original with rice and lentils, and then we decided in Palestine to do one with bulgur, which is in Palestine and Lebanon and Syria. They used to do before the rice came to the region. They used to do it with bulgur.
Yeah.
But then I had 2 kilos of frike and I wanted to use them, so I decided to do it with frike. And it's actually quite really nice because frike, unlike bulgur, it's quite kind of meaty and nutty, and it's got another dimension of flavor to it, which works really well with all the spices and the caramelized onion.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's I have frike also in my cupboard, so that's something I'll be trying out in the next few days. I guess since we're talking about recipes, probably a good opportunity to talk about your new book.
Yeah.
Very exciting. It landed last week, was it?
It was on the 26th.
On the 26th, yes.
Yeah.
Palestine. Very excited about this. A lot of people are very excited. And I know some people who are in the chat today already have a copy of the book and they've been cooking some recipes out of it. We've been waiting for this book for so long. I'm sure you have too, because it's something you've been talking about for a while. I guess perhaps maybe we could talk about the creative process of writing a cookbook, which is also co-authored by Tara Wigley.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about this collaboration and sort of the process behind writing a cookbook?
Yeah, I mean this project I wanted to do for a long time, but life got so kind of busy and you do other things and then you realize, oh shit, I didn't do it, and you go back to it. And luckily, also Palestinian cuisine kind of became quite popular the last few years.
Yeah.
And it was a good kind of slot to just do this project. And we had to be a little bit kind of cautious because, the whole Ottolenghi and Palestinian cookbook and how we do it. And previously I did cookbooks with Yottam, and it wouldn't feel right to do a Palestinian cookbook with Yottam because he's an Israeli. So I started kind of building up all the recipes that I grew up having and remembering and talking to people. And then Tara came on board, and she's a wonderful writer. And it was almost like for her, it's a kind of discovery. And for me, just going back home and basically cook all the dishes that we kind of knew. But I wanted to do a book that it's all about the people and the place and the ingredients, and not so much about me or Tara.
Yeah.
So, and it's a personal, and it's a love kind of letter to my country and Palestinian people and the food. And it is quite personal, but it's not really about me personally. The book is wonderful. It's got beautiful photography and got about 112 wonderful recipes, some traditional and a lot non-traditional.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you. Did you feel like it was, this is the first time that you write a book about, essentially it's Palestinian cuisine, it's about your heritage and your identity.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of pressure on you to
There's not a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of pressure that I created because, my loyalty to the food and to the place and to the people. And I wanted to justify it and also present it in the best way I can. And when we started the whole process, I kind of wanted to do traditional, but then I realized all the books in the markets have the same sets of recipes. They're all wonderful books, and but they're all kind of written by women, first of all. And you know how the Arab world, so you know, you get it from your mother, and your mother got it from your grandma, and so on and so on. And I'm a guy, and you know, I didn't have that. I was just all the time out of the kitchen when I was a kid, because it's not a place for a kid. I wanted to do something that we started kind of having a brainstorm. Who's gonna buy this book? I mean, all the Palestinians that I know how to cook these dishes. So they're not so much the Palestinian that's gonna buy it. So what's our kind of market target? And this is where things started to go a little bit off the traditional and more stay true to the Palestinian, but and a traditional dish that we did, we didn't kind of play with it. We just kept it the way it is because they are so wonderful. But knowing the food, and you probably know the same as well, a lot of the food is either beige or brown.
Yeah, and it's very hard to photograph. So
yeah, it's really delicious, but you end up with this kind of brown mess, and how do you photograph it? And so we started garnishing and adding things, but without losing the essence of the dish, because at the end of the day, you know, you want to sell the food, you want to sell the book, and also people want to look at the photo and want to cook the recipe.
Yeah. So have you shared the book with your family yet? And what's the feedback?
I sent a whole box because there are too many of them. So I said to them, for now, just kind of, you know, divide it between you. When I come, I'll bring another box, because they probably need like at least 40 books.
Yeah, you have a big family. We were talking about this yesterday. Yeah. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
We are 7 originally, and then I have 5 half brothers and sisters, so 12.
And are you the only male that cooks in the family, or
yeah,
are other?
I'm the youngest boy, and I'm the only one who left home. So yeah, most of them, they work in transport and stuff like that.
Okay, well, I'm sure they must be incredibly proud of what you achieved.
They're very proud, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. You mentioned that the book is very much about sharing stories of people and stories of Palestine. There are some beautiful stories in there. Is there someone in particular that you met along the journey that marked you in some way, or?
I mean, they're all incredible people. I can't really choose one. It's not fair as well to choose one, because they all have different stories. If I have to choose one, possibly it would be like Islam in a refugee camp in Bethlehem, where she had a disabled kid, and they didn't have a lot of money, and they don't have schools for disabled kids in the refugee camp. And so she decided to do something about it for herself, for her kid, and for the community. So she started cooking for groups of people that used to just come to Bethlehem for a day or two. And then she decided to teach them how to cook the dishes. And she did so well that she became quite well known. But she's still a very humble person, and all the money that she made, she either improved the facilities that she's working in, but also helping building a school for disabled people. And it's a wonderful story to hear.
Yeah, no,
when we meet her, the first time I met her, she didn't speak English. The second time we met her, she was already speaking English, and she didn't go to school. So it's kind of quite inspiring and humbling as well. And she always have a big smile on her face, which is really lovely.
Yeah.
People that think about refugee camp, they think, you know, war and bombs, but actually all the kids have mobile phones and wearing the latest jeans and
yeah, refugee camps are surprisingly very organized. I mean,
yeah.
they have to be because essentially they have nothing but that. So
And also the community sense there is very, very kind of strong because they living in a very small kind of space next to each other, on top of each other sometimes. They, the sense of community and caring and taking care of each other, it's very, very strong.
yeah, absolutely. So is there, I mean, today, what do you consider to be a quintessential Palestinian dish?
Everybody will choose probably ma'lube, the upside down rice cake with chicken or meat. I think it's probably msakhan, you know, the roasted chicken with sumac marinated caramelized onion, flatbread, lots of olive oil.
Yes.
I think this is kind of the essence of all the Palestinian cookings. It's got suma, it's got olive oil, the taboon bread. Chicken is kind of something that people normally used to have in the backyard.
Yeah.
And you know, just sitting there and sharing it. And this dish is you cannot eat it by hand, so you just kind of tear the pieces of the bread and chicken and make little kind of sandwiches and eat it. And I think this is the dish that I would just kind of choose.
Definitely. I have to agree. I have vivid memories of going to Jordan because my family has been in Jordan for decades now. But one of the vivid memories I have of sharing a meal with my aunties and my cousins was sitting around. We actually used to sit on the floor because there were so many of us. We would put lots of newspaper, and then we'd have massive trays, saniyas of and we would just sit and like tear the bread and eat the chicken. Our fingers would get so oily, and so it was quite messy, but it was by far the best dish ever.
And so it's the best way to eat because it's not my plate or your plate. It's just everybody's eating together, and it's really wonderful. And the host normally kind of see you that you're not eating enough, so they can start to throw food on you.
Oh yeah. I've learned that one of the tricks is like you can't eat too quickly, because if you finish before everyone else, then you'll automatically be served 1 time, 2 times, 3 times until you just can't eat anymore. Which is I think it's one of the beauties of Palestinian hospitality as well.
Yeah.
Great. So I just have one last question, and then we can move on, because I can see there's some questions happening in the chat now. I guess we have, I believe, some of the wonderful Zaytoun ladies who are here today. Zaytoun, for those who don't know, are one of our lovely residents at the Arab British Center, and they are also, more importantly, a community fair trade company that sell Palestinian produce in the UK. And I just wanted to ask if you have any, well, first of all, is Zaytoun around? And maybe...
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see me?
Yes. Bridget.
Hi, Sami.
Do you want to say a few words about Zaytoun? Because I think it would be good for people to know about the company and about what you do, and more importantly, where can people buy your products at this point?
Can I just first say that we are so excited about this book, about Sami's book, about Falastin. It is the book we have been waiting for. And we're just thrilled that it's been published. So congratulations, Sami.
Thank you very much.
Zaytoun was set up in 2004 by people that went to work in Palestine and saw the quality of the olive oil and the other products, and they wanted to try and bring them back to the UK. And there was a huge demand from people in the UK for the olive oil from Palestine. And from that point, the business has grown. And over the years, we've just seen this slow, steady ascent of Palestinian food. And it's now a really big growing thing in the UK, which is fantastic. Our main products are the olive oil and the frike and the maftool, all of which are in Falastin. And the best places to buy them, obviously you can buy them from Ottolenghi, from the Ottolenghi web shop, which is a really good place to buy them, or they are Tradecraft Online is one of our big suppliers. And then Whole Foods, if you're in London, Whole Foods sell them too, so you can get them from there.
Oxfam also have it.
Oxfam do have them. Currently, the Oxfam shops are closed,
Yeah.
but they do have some of it online. So yes, Oxfam is in normal times. Oxfam is one of the best places to buy it over the UK because they're up and down the high street. And as soon as those Oxfam street shops open back up, then yeah, the products will be there again. But right now, Tradecraft or Ottolenghi or Planet Organic are the best place to buy the products. And if we're just saying that the frike and the maftula, you know, we're all at home, we're all cooking, we're all watching Sami's videos, and the frike and the maftula, if you want a different flavor instead of rice or pasta or bread, then the frike and the maftula are a great grain, but they have a lot more flavor and they're wholesome and they're good for you, which is important right now to all stay healthy.
Yeah, I think also on the nutritional side, frike is, I think, a lot better for you than rice, generally speaking. Am I right?
Oh yeah, we think so. I reckon Sami probably thinks so too.
It's more delicious. I'm not sure about whether it's better for you or not. It's just kind of because they tell you to eat less of red meat and grains. So, but you know, it's rubbish. You know, if you eat it in small quantities and don't kind of, then it's fine. People eat quite a lot of bread, which is quite kind of astonishing, but also it's not always good for you.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in that.
It's good to know that you kind of all your products are kind of handmade, that are not handled by chemicals. There's nothing added to them, which is organically, which is really, really wonderful.
Yeah, I mean the maftul particularly is a whole grain bulgur wheat based product, and it's made by hand and hand rolled by women that work in cooperatives in Palestine, and so it's a whole grain. So it is on the healthier side, and then obviously the financial impact is that the money goes straight back into the cooperatives, so it supports communities in Palestine at the same time.
Yeah. I will be doing the maftul probably next week with the chicken. I ran out of maftul, so I'm gonna have to find maftul now. I had 500 grams of yours, but Yasmin Khan came to visit, and I gave her all I had, and now I don't have any.
Well, you know.
Okay, well maybe you can do something about that, Sami.
No, I'm not asking you to send me. I will find it. I know where to get.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. Thanks for that. And maybe if either Becky or Nadia can include maybe it's already done, the website for Zaytoun. I see. Yes, thank you very much. So make sure you buy Zaytoun products, because they're not only delicious, but you help support the farming communities and beyond in Palestine, which is very important for their livelihood. I think we're going to start now with questions from the audience, because I can see things are popping left and right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off question. Oh, okay, I see. So this is a question from Malu, asking, considering how we are meeting now, does Sami remember a time in his life when his family had to not stockpile food, but bring in their dietary staples because of tension, war, occupation, or just everyone's inside for an unspecified period? If so, what were the staples his family?
I mean, we have something that's called Moune in the Middle East, which is a pantry, and we celebrate normally the seasons, and the leftover from celebrating the season, it normally gets pickled or dried or fermented, or so they keep it for much longer. I don't think I noticed. I mean, I was born after the war, so I'm talking about 67. There was not shortage of anything. I mean, people just ate whatever they had. There wasn't huge quantities of meat and fish, but in the Middle East, you can do with a bit of minced meat a big meal to feed 20 people. So
yeah, definitely, and lots of vegetarian options as well.
Yeah, I mean, lots of vegan options as well.
Yeah, Palestinian and Middle Eastern food in general is great for if there are any vegans out there. I guess the one thing I didn't ask, which Saeed is asking, which is a very pertinent question, What's the best way of buying your book today?
Unfortunately, because of the situation now, you can go to the Ottolenghi or to Waterstones and just get it from one of the Waterstones or any local kind of cookbooks.
Yeah. Or it's on Tradecraft as well.
Yeah.
You can buy it from Tradecraft with all the Zaytoon products.
Yeah, that's great as well. And also, where do they sell it? Don't have it. Waterstone mainly.
Okay.
I mean, the problem with it is because we shipped all the stock, but the stock is kind of stuck in warehouses at the moment until the situation is a little bit more clear. So there's quite limited quantities in the market.
Okay. Okay, great. There's a question from Ruba, who's asking, Ruba Asfahani. Hey, Ruba. Ruba used to work at the Arab British Center. I don't know where you are on the screen, but you know Ruba from her time at the ABC. Yeah. She's asking, what will be the first thing you do when the lockdown is over?
Well,
Please come to Oxford, she says.
You have cats, right, Ruba? So, no. I'm not sure actually. I'm looking forward to see all the people from work and kind of have the restaurants working again. And I would like to have a really good kind of cheeseburger, which is something that you can't have on delivery. So, and you can't get the best meat here, so you just have to kind of keep it quiet now until it's kind of. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the first thing people do when they get their freedom back. I, for one, I'm definitely going for a burger. I know that's the #1 thing on my list. I go for a burger every Saturday. It's tradition. So, and it's been 3 weeks now, so I'm feeling the need.
Yeah.
Let's see, what are the other questions? Okay, so a question from Nadia. What were the main challenges or struggles you faced when starting to work with Yottam, and how did you grow in the process?
There were no struggles. I mean, this is something that it's almost like a sound like cliche and a myth. We started as good friends. It's in London. It's not. There's no kind of boundaries of who you can be friends with or not. We worked together for 2 years, so we became really close to each other. And when we started working, I mean, only after we released the Jerusalem cookbook that people realized, oh, there's a Palestinian and Israeli working together. But actually, we were working together for a few years already, and people didn't really kind of not that they didn't notice it, but they didn't make a big deal out of it. Challenges, I mean, I get people on social media calling me traitor and all sort of things. I mean, I'm not really interested in these things. I'm a chef. I want to cook. I want to show people how to cook. I want to celebrate the joy of cooking and eating, and also all the knowledge that I have. I want to kind of show it to others and share it with others. And I'm not really interested in politics and all that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I think
it will be a different story if we did it in somewhere like in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or Palestine. Of course, it would be different. But we are in London, and people, I mean, especially in our restaurants where Jews sit next to a Palestinian, next to a Christian, it doesn't matter. People don't really talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, cooking for the love of cooking and sharing.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Kane says he just bought your book and he can't wait to try the recipes. Thanks for supporting Kane. Valeria is asking.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's a funny question. What would your desert island / death row meal be if you had to choose one? Would it be a starter, a main, or dessert? And what would it be?
I would choose 3 starters probably.
3 starters?
Yeah. I like to eat little portion. I don't like kind of big meals. Or if you put a big plate with other people, I will share it. I like that, but I'm not a dessert person so much. You can see from my Instagram as well that I don't do a lot of dessert. I mean, I do them for the joy of doing them, but I'll give probably 3/4 of them to the neighbors.
Yeah.
But yeah, starters probably. If I have to choose, it will be something with okra, one of them. I love okra. This is one of my favorite things to eat.
Okay. Let's see. What is there other? Sorry, there's a lot of comments on the chat. Okay, thank you so much. This is a question from Sawad, which is also something we mentioned yesterday. Thank you so much, Sami, for your time today. I'm curious about the beautiful posters behind you with the names of Arab cities. Could you share what they mean to you and where did you get them from?
Yeah, I got them. They are, I'm just going to show them. They are Arab capitals. There used to be a calendar. I bought it in a funny place in Marrakesh. And I didn't know what to do with it, but I had the idea to basically frame them, and they are a beautiful thing to look at. And people normally go to here and say, "Wow, who done that?" But actually, it's just an old calendar.
Yeah, they look very cool. So that answers your question, Sawad. Question: what would be the ultimate veggie Palestinian dish? Traditional version and contemporary version.
Veggie, so many. God, where to choose? I mean, maybe mjaddara is one of them because it's suitable for vegetarian and vegan. You can have it just with a fresh salad, and it's very nutritious.
You want to explain for those who don't know what mjaddara is very quickly?
Mjaddara is lentils and rice cooked with lots of spices and served with caramelized onions. It's very, very kind of comforting. I did the other day a video about lentils with tahini, also caramelized onion. It's really delicious, and it's almost like a salad, but it also could be a main course. It could be a side dish. Tabbouleh, there are various tabboulehs around. I mean, one with rice, one with like winter tabbouleh. We have summer tabbouleh.
Yeah, and you have those recipes are in your book. Actually, I noticed. I think you have. Is it 3 versions of tabbouleh you have in Palestine?
Yeah, we have a rice. We have a green with kale, and the other one is winter tabbouleh with blood orange and red cabbage. It's delicious. We also have 2 fritters, one cauliflower fritter and one spinach with za'atar. They can be also a starter main. You can have them for dessert if you like to.
Okay, great. Let's see. We have a question about a matlube from Rania and Simon. What's the secret to a good matlube?
You just have to do the layers right and be patient with it, and don't over kind of add the liquids to it because it doesn't need as much. I kind of layer the rice between the vegetables, and some people add the rice on top, and when they add the stock or the water, the rice floats up, and people panic and it doesn't cook properly.
And I guess matlube, for those who don't speak Arabic, matlube means upside down. So it's literally...
it's almost like a rice meat and veggie, normally fried aubergine or fried cauliflower, or sometimes both. Other vegetables are added to it, and then they cook it in stock, and then once it's finished, they invert it upside down, and it looks like a kind of big castle. Almost.
Yeah, like a big stacked cake. Almost. Yeah, it's really good actually. Let's see, there's more questions are coming in, they're flowing in. Thank you. This is from Ellie Alvarez. Hi Sami, thank you so much. Are there any places in London that you enjoy going to for traditional Palestinian food?
There's a place in the Goulburn Road, Notting Hill area, called Maramiya Cafe, and another place called Cafe Falastina. It's in Camden.
Okay.
Other than this, there aren't. I don't know. There's a falafel guy in Shepherd's Bush next to the station that does really good falafel, but you know, some people will be kind of put off because it's just kind of on the road.
Yeah, I see Nadia here has 2 thumbs up for the falafel guys. So
it's the best falafel you can find in London. Do not be put off by it being on the side of the road. It's amazing.
I agree.
Yeah. Also, for the sake of falafel, guys, please don't buy ready-made falafels from the supermarket, because that is just not a falafel. Okay, we're not going to get into the politics of falafel, but if you're going to do yourselves a favor, a falafel, the right way to eat it is freshly fried and hot. None of that supermarket shelf, please. Okay, let's see. This is a question from Yusra. Hi, Sami. Thanks so much for today and sharing your passion. As many see their cuisine as a big part of their identity and culture, I was just wondering what your take is on cultural appropriation of Arab food or other cuisines.
It's a big question. I mean, yeah, I mean, I totally kind of against that, and I'm against the whole. It's especially, it's not so much the average people, but the chefs, where they take dishes. I mean, we're talking here about Israeli chefs, where they take dishes and cook them abroad and don't give the credit to the right people, which is Palestinian. It's a big problem, but you know, it's people that write about it, about Palestinian food, and kind of cook it and talk about it, make a big step here, where, you know, kind of people are, so this is not really an Israeli, this is Palestinian. So the more you do and the more you talk about it, the more people want to kind of know and read, and hopefully also visit, because there's quite a lot of propaganda and bad press around.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there's been, I mean, in the last few years, it's very noticeable. There is definitely a rise in or a boom in Palestinian cuisine, whether it's cookbooks or restaurants or even like articles writing specifically about that. I think you're right. It's about informing yourself and knowing, you know, where your food is from. And but yeah, it is a difficult question. But thank you for raising that question, Yusra. Sorry, you were saying, Sami?
I was just saying that also people can't really tell you it's not your dish. I mean, there are kind of documentation as well that can prove that. It's not who's mine or who's yours. It's just, you know, just give it credit, and that's enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some great initiatives. There's the, and you mentioned her in your book, actually.
I lost your voice.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. No, I was saying, you mentioned in the book, there is a story, well, a story about Vivian Sansour, is it, who has the heirloom seed bank.
Yeah.
She does very important work in sort of preserving the, I guess, the traditional agriculture of Palestine. It's a wonderful project, and I highly recommend you look into it. She's reviving some old traditional Palestinian produce, working directly with the land and with the people, finding seeds through investigative work, and she's able to revive some, you know, things like a specific type of watermelon that is no longer available, but she's managed to find the seeds, and now she's growing that specific type of watermelon. So there are, you know, a lot of initiatives happening out there to kind of, you know, make sure that the heritage of our food and our culture is preserved in many different ways. Do we have time for more questions? Yes, we do. Let's see. And Nadia and Becky, if I'm missing anything crucial, please step in at any point.
Ghazi has a question that probably it's past you because there's so many comments. What is your opinion on the new versions of hummus in the market and that deviate from the traditional hummus? Do you think there is space for innovation of classical and traditional recipes?
I don't, I mean, people that know me, and also I'm quite loud about it on social media, where don't call it hummus, I'm sorry. If you want to play with it, it's fine, absolutely, but don't call it hummus. I mean, there's also chocolate hummus. Come on, it's like, you know, just kind of, it doesn't even sound right. Never mind, you know, adding chocolate to it. Call it whatever. I mean, you can call it chickpea and chocolate, but don't call it hummus.
Yeah, because I mean, for those that don't know, the word hummus in Arabic is actually chickpea. So
actually, it's also in Hebrew. Yeah, hummus is chickpea. So, and it's either you have it as a whole kind of a chickpea, or like the tahini, which is the original hummus. But just kind of let it go, please.
Yeah. Hummus is hummus, and that's
exactly. Leave it alone.
Okay.
Speaking of that, Nadia wrote in a question saying, what do you think about registering Palestinian recipes and food as a tangible cultural heritage with UNESCO as a way, oh sorry, it's by Duna, but Nadia posted it, as a way of preserving and protecting those kinds of recipes?
It's a huge project. It's like a massive project. I mean, somebody need a big budget behind it to do it. Lovely. It would be amazing to do. I mean, I know a lot of people that working with kind of preserving the old recipes, and but nothing is documented, which is sadly is kind of. It need to be a big establishment like the Palestinian Museum or in the West Bank or something like that to be able to take it on board and just work on it. And it's going to take years.
Yeah, I mean, it is a major project, but it would be, I mean, I think Mexico had its food entered into this intangible heritage with UNESCO. They managed to do that because they recognized the importance of the specific crops like corn and spices and all. So yeah, maybe if there's someone in the chat who's interested in starting a project like this, maybe this is.
I would help, but I don't want to. It's a big project to take on.
Yeah, it's, well, there we go. We have one volunteer already. So if anyone wants to sign up, we can start a Palestinian cultural heritage, food heritage group, and we can, you know, big things start with small steps. So you never know. So there's a question from Reem. Hey Reem, how are you? Reem used to be on the part of the Shubak team at the Arab British Center. Do you think supply chains in food, or how we can reinforce sustainable, ethical supply chains, and also to reinforce communities?
This is, I really think it's up to the individuals when it comes to these things, because the demand for foreign things and things are not in season, and it's not just the supermarkets problem or the chains. It's more the demand from people. I mean, people want to have strawberries all year round, and chicken that's kind of really badly treated. And I think if you yourself start from home, kind of implying that, then it's not going to work, because people are still buying strawberries in the winter, and things kind of not the best quality. And I mean, like figs, for example, they come all the way from Brazil, and they're terrible. They are not in the season. They're picked when they're still green, hoping that, you know, they're gonna ripen by the time they get to you. But they keep them in cold rooms the whole time, and you get it, and it's just not very nice to eat.
Mm. So where do you guys, with your restaurants in NOPI and Ottolenghi, where do you source the majority of your fresh produce from?
I mean, we try to, because we are very kind of strong on Middle Eastern food, so a lot of the stuff comes from the Middle East. We work with people like Zaytun, where we know that it's a good quality, fair trade. It's not kind of tempered with or played with. But obviously, we are selling Middle Eastern food as well. So all the cucumbers and tomatoes and a lot of the stuff doesn't really grow in this country. So it'll have to be coming from somewhere. But we try to not buy things from far, like Peru and Brazil and places like that, because you know it's not going to taste right. So we try to do the best we can to buy locally, but locally doesn't always kind of answer the question.
Yeah, no, of course. Okay, well, I think that we've gone through most of the questions. There's one about the lockdown from Neda Elias. During the lockdown, it's becoming a challenge to keep ordering food from outside and not worrying about hygiene. What are the meals you advise not to order from outside, given their vulnerability to germs?
Don't order a burger. Anything that kind of fried, I would just kind of avoid, because I don't know, it just kind of makes me cringe every time, because they put it in a box and leave it on your doorstep, and I don't think you should kind of go there. Burgers, definitely not. Anything with sausages and stuff like that. And soups are okay because you know you can reheat them at home, but just cook at home. It's so easy, and you know you don't have to complicate things.
Yeah, plus now you have the time. What else are you going to be doing?
And you have my videos as well, so you can watch me cooking them and just do the recipes.
Exactly. You can just follow Sami's almost daily videos on Instagram if you need inspiration.
Exactly. And come and ask me for questions as well. I mean, I'm always happy to answer.
Yeah, well, there you go. So don't order from outside, especially not fried food, because it arrives soggy inevitably. A very serious question from Saeed, and I think it's a question that I am also very curious to know the answer. Where can you buy tasty tomatoes in London?
You know, there aren't a place. I mean, Natura is a really good company that kind of import things from Europe. They're not cheap, but they always have really good tomatoes. But I also buy my tomatoes from Middle Eastern shops because I know that they come from the Middle East. I leave them for a week in a room temperature in a sunny place in my kitchen, and they taste a lot better after a week.
Okay.
Because you know, most of the tomatoes are picked when they're not ripe, and they need the sunshine and the heat to mature and get a lot of the flavor. They're not gonna taste like Palestinian or Middle Eastern tomatoes or Italian tomatoes, but they taste a lot better.
Yeah, so pro tip from Sami, guys, never put your tomatoes in the fridge, I guess, right?
No. I don't put almost anything in the fridge apart from the herbs and cucumbers, and the rest just basically in the cupboard.
Yeah, makes sense. Okie dokie. I think that's all the time we have because it's already 2:00. I wanted to thank you very much, Sami, for taking the time to come to our hangout and hang out with us for an hour, and with everyone else that's joined. I think we've had a very, very popular hangout. It sounds to me like it was a full session, so well done.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I mean, we can do another one soon.
We can do many, many things soon. And I see there's a lot of enthusiasm for starting a food heritage project here by our by our participants. So maybe that's a project in the making. Maybe we can talk about that. I guess I just wanted to say a few things before we go. Just so you know, next week we will not be having a hangout because next week is a bank holiday weekend. We have 4 days of holidays to look forward to, even though we're going to be spending in the comfort of our homes. So we will not be having a hangout next week, but the following week we will, and we will be posting online about this very soon. We do have next week planned a Q&A with Haifa El Mansour and Malou Halassa, who is here, I can see in the conversation. Haifa is a film director from Saudi Arabia, and she's just released her second feature film. The film is available to view online, so if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's available on modernfilms.com, I believe. If not, just look for The Perfect Candidate. That's the name of the film. Also, if you have any events that you'd like to share, we have a newsletter that we send out every week or every couple of weeks. So if you have any events, online events that you'd like us to include in the newsletter, please email Becky. It's Becky, B-E-C-K-Y @arabritishcenter.org.uk. Did you want to say anything, Becky? Or?
Oh, just that it'll probably go out on like Wednesday or Thursday, and it'll be covering the whole month of April. So if you have any kind of like digital opportunities or like talks or just cool stuff that you think people who are interested in Arab culture might also be interested in, then please send it to me by email or on Twitter or on Instagram or anything like that, so we can share it with our newsletter subscribers. Thank you.
Great. Cool. So thank you all so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I certainly did. Thank you so much, Sami. It was so wonderful to have you. And your cookbook is just so delicious. I was going through it yesterday and just salivating and thinking, oh my God, I need to get on with my cooking again. So thank you.
Maybe if people make anything from the cookbook after this, they could tag us in it so we can see it and we can share them as well.
Yeah.
And if you use Zaytun ingredients, you can tag Zaytun and we'll share them too.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to see all the wonderful things you cook in the coming days. So thank you so much, Sami. It's been amazing, and yeah, we'll keep the conversation open.
Thank you very much, and have a lovely week.
Thank you, Sami.
You.
You are a British
Sami.
Center. You're brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.